What is going on, IE Sports Radio fans? It's your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again with another episode of the IE Elite Wrestling Show, your direct feed for all that is professional wrestling on the only network that is your direct feed for all that is sports, IE Sports Radio. If you aren't already doing so, check out our official X page, or I guess you're still supposed to call it Twitter. I'm not really sure. Follow us at IE Sports Radio. Follow me at IE Elite Pod. That's IE Elite Pod, where you get all updates, professional wrestling updates, and you'll get to see updates about the shows that I put on here for the IE Sports Radio Network. I know, once again, this is not our usual day to be on the air. I do apologize for the delay, but I'm here now, and I'm here for your morning commute on this special start time. If you're listening live, I thank you very much. If you're listening live on the Spreaker, if you're listening later on in your day on either YouTube, one of our many platforms that shelter our amazing network of amazing shows, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that good stuff. I thank you. Thank you for being here, listening live. Got a lot of stuff to talk about today. Some new, a little bit of wrestling news, not too much, not like last week where I had a whole bunch of stuff going over, but big weekend in the world of professional wrestling. It is, of course, the day has come, the weekend has come. It will be AEW All In London, in the Wembley Stadium in London, England, this coming Sunday. The quote-unquote biggest wrestling event in history takes place this Sunday in London with All Elite Wrestling in their very first stadium show. This is a big event in AEW's short lifespan as a company. This, I don't want to say this could make or break AEW, but definitely all eyes will be on the company for certain. All eyes will definitely be on AEW. With this upcoming big show that they have, and we'll get into that here shortly with the pay-per-view and the matches that have been announced itself. We'll also take a little dive into the upcoming WWE pay-per-view, which will be taking place next week, I believe, on the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. I could be wrong, but I'll double-check that later when it comes time to discuss that later on in the show with WWE Payback. We already have 3 official matches announced for Payback, so to speak, all from the Raw brand, and we'll get into that here a little bit shortly. Also, I want to discuss what took place this past Friday, which was the last contractually obligated match for WWE Hall of Famer Edge. He had his final match in the WWE, it could very well be his final match. We don't know. It could very well be his final match in the WWE in a victory over Sheamus live in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, his home country, his hometown. That took place this past Friday night on SmackDown. It was a great match, very good match. Definitely one that Edge could be proud of. The crowd was sent home happy with an Edge victory. There's a little bit of rumors going around that Edge could potentially, once his contract is up with the WWE, that he could apparently jump ship to All Elite Wrestling. I don't know if that's something that you guys would want to see. Personally, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see Edge jump ship to AEW. That's not some sort of out of loyalty to WWE, so to speak. I just don't think they would do anything with him that would be, beneficial to his legacy as a legendary wrestler, as such as he is. You can get the one potential big match that I feel Tony Khan, of course, being a child of the Attitude Era of wrestling, he would definitely try to book a Hardy Boys versus Edge and Christian match, most likely, even though he would not be able to call him Edge, since Edge is a copyrighted character of WWE, so they would not be able to even use that moniker, so Edge would have to wrestle under his actual given name of Adam Copeland if he were to jump ship to AEW. But those are rumors, but apparently they're strong enough that a lot of people in the AEW locker room believe it could be true. Before we want to go any further, I just want to give a shout out to planetjerky.net. It is the official sponsor of IE Sports Radio. Planet Jerky, the jerky that's on a whole other planet. Man, I got my packages. I did a video, if you follow me on the Twitter, at IE Elite Pod. Once again, I put up a video of a taste test of the volcanic jalapeno flavor. It was fabulous. It was delicious. It was sweet. It was spicy. It was tender. Delicious, delicious beef jerky. Probably the most delicious beef jerky I've ever had in my life. And then the other flavor I had was the smoky barbecue. Oh, just as delicious. So savory. Just delicious. If you guys haven't already, please check out planetjerky.net. Cop yourself a flavor. They have other flavors. I believe there's sweet teriyaki on there. And they have a Carolina Reaper flavor, which I definitely want to try. I love the spice. I love spicy food. I'm definitely going to have to try and get myself a bag of that. If you haven't already, do yourself a favor. Show some love to our sponsor, Planet Jerky, and buy some of their delicious 100% beef brisket jerky, no MSG, low in sodium, and high in protein. It is delicious. It's a delicious snack, to keep you from snacking on other fatty foods that you definitely don't need to be snacking on. If you're on a keto diet like I'm trying to keep myself on, it's definitely a great snack for you. High in protein, low in carbs, low in sugar, and it definitely helps. It helps pass the day. It helps get you over that hump between lunch and dinner. It is delicious. Do yourself a favor. Planet Jerky. That's planetjerky.net. This jerky's on a whole other planet. So, we're going to get into some wrestling news right now, guys. I just want to get you updated here. So, it was announced this past week that it was actually announced by Fox Sports Net and then made official by the WWE with the posting, John Cena. That's right, John Cena himself, the legend himself, John Cena, is coming back to the WWE. He has not been seen since Money in the Bank at the O2 Arena when he had that little tiff with Grayson Waller in the ring. John Cena will be coming back. He will be appearing on SmackDown. He will be coming back to Friday Night SmackDown September 1st. So that's going to be next week. He will be on WWE television next Friday. Not this coming Friday. Next week, September 1st. John Cena returns to WWE television on Friday Night SmackDown. And not only that, John Cena has been booked and he will be competing in a match. I heard the rumor going around that he may be wrestling Gunther at this event that he's booked for, but take that with a grain of salt. I'm not 100% on that. But apparently the next big event, I don't know if it's going to be televised on Peacock or not, but big event coming to the country of India. I spoke about this a few weeks back. WWE Superstar Spectacle on September 8th to be held in India. John Cena will be wrestling in India for the very first time in his career on September 8th. So not only that, John Cena is coming back to WWE television on the 1st, and then he will be competing in India for the very first time on September 8th. So I'm sure all the fans there in India, if you guys have already gotten your tickets to Superstar Spectacle, I know you got to be really excited to hear that news. If you haven't yet, and you're listening to my show now, do yourself a favor and go cop yourself some tickets, because it could be your one and only chance to see You Can't See Me, the legend himself, John Cena, wrestle in your home country once in a lifetime, guys. This could be a once in a lifetime thing. You don't want to miss that. I'm really looking forward to this next announcement. It was just announced over this past weekend. I saw the trailer. It looks great. I love docuseries type television, and this is no exception. It's got two things that I love. It's a documentary style show, and professional wrestling is the main focus. This will be coming to you live September 13th. On Netflix. All episodes will be distributed on that day, September 13th. If you subscribe to Netflix, you must check out this show. It'll be OVW, Ohio Valley Wrestling, and Al Snow, former WWE Attitude Era superstar Al Snow. What does everybody want? Head! What does everybody need? that guy, Al Snow. If you don't recall, I don't know if we got a bunch of young fans out there that are not really sure who Al Snow is or was. Al Snow was a fantastic wrestler, journeyman wrestler. Didn't really get his due as a main event guy, but Paul Heyman took him under his wing, brought him into ECW, reinvented himself, gave him a mannequin head, and made him kind of just out there. And with that character, he was able to get rehired by the WWE in the Attitude Era, where he had, I would say he had a fairly successful career. He's a former European champion, a former tag team champion with WWE Hall of Famer, and good friend to him, Mick Foley, Mankind. Al Snow was a multiple-time hardcore champion as well. And right now, Al Snow still going strong. If you haven't seen him if you don't follow him on Twitter, you should check it out and see this man in his early 60s looking better than some of us do in our 30s. He is a head trainer. He's the head booker and trainer of Ohio Valley Wrestling. Ohio Valley Wrestling, famously in the early 2000s, was the wrestling school / company / training ground for new WWE superstars. A lot of big names came out of that company. The main class of the year 2002, get this: Batista, Randy Orton, John Cena, Shelton Benjamin, and Brock Lesnar. All of those guys came out of the same wrestling class at Ohio Valley Wrestling. And then the list goes on and on from there. You had Beth Phoenix, you had Mickie James, you had CM Punk, you had Dolph Ziggler, you have getting wrestlers who needed a fine tuning before they returned to the ring. Mark Henry, The Big Show. All these guys have gone through the doors of Ohio Valley Wrestling and came out the other end more successful. It grew and fostered talent. Hell, Cody Rhodes, one of the biggest stars of wrestling today, that's where he got his start in professional wrestling, was in Ohio Valley Wrestling as well. So Ohio Valley Wrestling has the reputation of growing and fostering and nurturing the stars of tomorrow. Or at least it did at one time. I don't know how it is doing now, but I can't wait to see the show. It is a wrestling docuseries called Wrestlers, and Ohio Valley Wrestling is the main focus of Wrestlers, the docuseries, coming to you on Netflix September 13th. It's a 7-part show. It'll be a 7-episode with the efforts of once famous pro wrestler Al Snow and his band of aspiring wrestlers as they struggle with their personal ambitions and each other while they attempt to come together and save this historic gym located in Louisville, Kentucky. Famously, the school itself was run by two big legends in professional wrestling previous to Al Snow. Jim Cornette was the very first. James E. Cornette was the very first head booker and basically the foster of talent. He's the one that helped with Batista and Randy Orton and Cena and Lesnar and Benjamin. He was the head booker at the time of that class. And then after Cornette was let go from his position, in came none other than the wise man himself, Paul Heyman. And so Paul Heyman was able to foster the stars of the mid-2000s, which included Cody Rhodes, CM Punk, Beth Phoenix, Dolph Ziggler, Mickie James. All those big names from the mid-2000s that came with Paul Heyman. And then the early 2000s came with James E. Cornette. And now Al Snow trying to foster the talent and the future of this business for years to come. So I'm really excited to see the show. It definitely gives you the behind-the-curtain view of professional wrestling, and it's given us on a lower level look. You know, this is an independent wrestling company. You know, they're independently owned. They're not affiliated with any company anymore. They're no longer a training ground for the WWE, since WWE now has their own performance center and NXT. That's what that's for. They were at one time, OVW was the training ground for TNA, aka Impact Wrestling. They are no longer. But I'm sure that they still have some sort of affiliation, since I've seen Al Snow compete on Impact Wrestling from time to time. But now this is going to give us a chance to see OVW and the world of independent wrestling, firsthand. So I'm really, really excited to see that show. September 13th, all episodes premiere on Netflix. That's the show called Wrestlers. And if you're a fan of independent pro wrestling and you live in the greater New York area, you're definitely going to be excited to see this. Former NXT Tag Team Champions will be reuniting for the first time in over 6 years. The VOD villains Simon Gotch and Matthew Raywalt will reunite for the first time in over 6 years at House of Glory's Fallout on September 15th in New York at the NYC Arena. That's going to be the NYC Arena at 9112 144th Place, Jamaica, New York. The VOD villains return for the first time ever at Fallout. The VOD villains Simon Gotch and Matthew Raywalt return together for the first time ever. That's going to be really cool to see, and you can actually view it live on Premiere. The Premiere app streams House of Glory. That's the company that's running the show. HOG, House of Glory Wrestling. They will be the ones promoting the show, and you can watch it streaming live on Premiere. So check it out, fans. If you're not going to be in the Jamaica, New York area, check it out, and don't miss the return of the former NXT Tag Team Champions, the VOD Villains. This next bit of news is kind of a bit of a shocker. This led to a lot of fans speculating that it would ruin one of the biggest matches announced for AEW's All In London this coming weekend. Excuse me while I sip my coffee. Cash Wheeler of AEW's FTR, the current AEW World Tag Team Champions, was arrested. And he was ordered to turn in his weapons, and he had a bond of $2,500. He did not spend a day in jail, far as I know. According to police documents obtained by TMZ Sports, Cash Wheeler's arrest this past Friday, stemmed from an alleged road rage incident that took place on July 27th on Interstate 4 in Orange County, Florida. Good old Florida, man. Cops say a man told them he had been driving when he noticed a Jeep Gladiator weaving in and out of traffic while honking its horn behind him. They say the man told them he moved into the far right lane to avoid the car, but the driver of the Jeep then pulled to the shoulder beside him, whipped out a black semi-automatic handgun, and pointed it at him with a strong stare. In the docks, police say the man slowed down to get out of the way of the gun before they hit an exit ramp together. While there, cops say the man told them he photographed the Jeep as well as its license plate number. They say he later ID'd Wheeler as the driver by picking him up out of a photo lineup. He entered a plea of not guilty on August 3rd. Despite the arrest, there are no restrictions on Wheeler traveling to the UK for AEW All In, scheduled for August 27th at Wembley Stadium. Wheeler and his FTR partner Dax Harwood are set to defend their championship against the Young Bucks. So fans could breathe, I guess, a sort of relief that Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler will still be in attendance, will still be defending their tag team titles against the Young Bucks at AEW All In. And I feel like that's the best segue for us to get into All In. So let's go ahead and start discussing All In. This coming Sunday, it will be All In London at Wembley Stadium. It is the second pay-per-view to have the All In name. Of course, the very first edition of the event was produced outside of AEW. It was an independently built and booked show that came out on September 2018, which basically inspired the creation of AEW. Tony Khan was in attendance that night. It was booked and created by Cody Rhodes and the Young Bucks. They took up Dave Meltzer on his boast that an independent wrestling company could not fill a 10,000-seat arena. The AEW, soon-to-be AEW EVPs, the Bucks and Cody, said, we'll take you up on that. They did it, and then some. All In was successful. They even had a decent buy rate because they actually streamed it live for purchase on Bleacher Report and the Fight TV app on pay-per-view as well. And it was a pretty solid, strong show for the most part. I remember watching that with my buddy Matt. It was a great show. Cody became the NWA World Heavyweight Champion for the first time in his career that night, which was definitely a very emotional night, a title that his father, the late great, the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, baby, held in his past as a professional wrestler. So to see the son do what the father had done once before was really great to see. Very emotional. Cody was very emotional at the end of that match, defeating Nick Aldis for the NWA World Heavyweight title. Kenny Omega defeated Penta El Ciro M in a fantastic match on that card. And we got our first glimpse of MJF in the opening contest of that night. Stephen Amell, former CW star and star of Arrow, the Green Arrow himself, had a great match against Christopher Daniels in one-on-one. And the main event itself was a great trios match with the Young Bucks and Kota Ibushi, the Golden Elite, taking on Bandito, Rey Fenix, and WWE Hall of Famer Rey Mysterio. And now, all these years later, 5 years later, nearly to the day, All in London, and it's going to be taking place at the Wembley Stadium in London. Wembley Stadium, of course, was the site of the famous SummerSlam 1992, where Bret Hart lost to the British Bulldog in an amazing Intercontinental Championship match in the main event of SummerSlam 92. This is actually this is a big event for AEW. It's a huge event for their company, and it's got to be considered a huge event for their future in general. This is going to be their first pay-per-view event held outside of North America. It'll be their first event, pay-per-view event in London, and it'll be their first pay-per-view event ever held in a giant football stadium, such as Wembley. And this will actually mark the first professional wrestling event to be held at the present-day Wembley Stadium, with the original Wembley Stadium no longer in existence. And that's where the SummerSlam 1992 took place. This will be a part of the 100th anniversary of Wembley. And AEW has already set attendance records and revenue for this show. Apparently they have a paid attendance record of 80,846 tickets distributed as of August 18th, overtaking WWE's WrestleMania 32's actual record of 80,709 with a revenue of over $9 million currently. It's already a success even before the show has even started. It's a little... I was a little concerned on the way there because Tony Khan, up until last week, started announcing actual matches for the event. And this is the card. So we're going to go over the card right now. On the pre-show, which is called 0 Hour, AEW 0 Hour, it will be a tag team match for the Ring of Honor World Tag Team titles. This match, I still don't understand why this is happening, because you're putting your main event match in jeopardy, because God knows anything could happen in the world of professional wrestling. God forbid that something happens to the tag team of Better Than You Baby before their world title match later on in the evening. But apparently Tony Khan saw it fit to put MJF and Adam Cole against Aussie Open Mark Davis and Kyle Fletcher in a Ring of Honor World Tag Team title match on the pre-show of your biggest event of the year. What's to say that... I don't think fans will leave, but what's to say that some fans are jaded and they're just like, well, we already saw the two guys in the main event, so when it comes time for the main event, they just kind of just bounce. I don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, it really doesn't... The booking of this is very odd to me. Very, very odd. And of course, I've already mentioned it based on that last story we talked about with a good old gunman here, gunslinger Cash Wheeler, and Dax Harwood, FTR, defending their AEW World Tag Team titles against Matt and Nick Jackson, the Young Bucks. This will be their third match. This is the rubber match between the Bucks and FTR. FTR has a victory. The Young Bucks have a victory. This is the rubber match. and it has been made official as of this last Wednesday. I know tonight we still have a Dynamite, and Saturday I believe we still have a Collision, and of course Rampage on Friday. So we got 3 AEW shows before we hit this big one before it's to take place. But this is set in stone. Fatal 4-way match for the AEW Women's World Championship. Hikaru Shida defends the AEW Women's World Championship against Toni Storm. Saraya, both members of the Outcasts, and the former AEW Women's World Champion, Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. And in a tag team coffin match, I'm really excited to see this match, just based on the participants in it. It'll be Darby Allin and Sting going 2-on-2 against Mogul Embassy, Swerve Strickland, and AR Fox. That's really cool to see. AR Fox and Swerve Strickland have been hitting the road, have been toiling in the independent scene, never getting a shot on the big time, and here they are in a huge match on the biggest show of the year for AEW, the biggest show probably in the company's history, definitely the biggest show in the company's history. And not only that, they're going to be across the ring from a certified legend, WWE Hall of Famer, Sting. So good on you to AR Fox and Swerve Strickland. This should be a good tag team match. It's going to be crazy for certain. In a 6-man tag team match, the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi, the Best Bout Machine, Kenny Omega, better known together as the Golden Lovers, and Hangman Adam Page, will take on Takeshita, I keep saying his name wrong, Konosuke Takeshita, and Bullet Club Gold, Juice Robinson, and Switchblade Jay White. I know a lot of fans are really disappointed that Kenny Omega is not going to be in a one-on-one match on this show. It really should have been, in my opinion, we should have had, if it wasn't going to be CM Punk and FTR against the Elite, then it should have been at least Punk and Omega one-on-one. That's my opinion. Because that definitely would have, I feel like that would have sold out the show for certain. But Tony Khan apparently can't keep control of his company for more than 5 minutes, so that's definitely not going to be happening. Anyway, but this should be a fun match. This should be a fun trios match with the Golden Elite and Bullet Club Gold. And Takeshita, because he's not a member. In a big match here, which now will have to be switched around due to Rey Fenix apparently is having visa issues and is not going to be able to attend AEW All In London. So now Rey Fenix is out of the match, and they will have to replace him with another superstar in this match. But it will be a Stadium Stampede match. It'll be Eddie Kingston, Orange Cassidy, Best Friends, Chuck Taylor, and Trent Beretta, Penta Acero Mario, and a superstar to be announced, since Rey Fenix can no longer enter the country, will be taking on the Blackpool Combat Club, Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, the Ring of Honor World Champion, Wheeler Yuta, and 3 more wrestlers to be announced that have yet to be announced. Hopefully they will be announced tonight on Dynamite. If not tonight on Dynamite, then hopefully at least Rampage or Collision, it'll be announced. And in a one-on-one match, which is definitely with little to no fanfare, absolutely little to no fanfare leading up to this match. This kind of was, it seems, thrown together, really just out of the blue. I'm not really excited to see this. I'm hoping the match does better than the hype for it, because the hype has been literally non-existent up until last week on Dynamite. The IWGP United States Champion Will Ospreay will go one-on-one with Chris Jericho. Chris Jericho gets a one-on-one match on the biggest show of AEW's entire existence against the reigning defending IWGP United States Champion Will Ospreay. Will Ospreay will be coming home to his home country of London and competing in front of the biggest crowd he possibly has ever wrestled in front of. So that in itself is a huge accomplishment. He's going to be taking on a certified legend in Chris Jericho. So those things are great. There's just no real, this match is just kind of happening just to happen, to be honest. Like, there's really no way around saying that. This match is just in existence because but it could potentially be one of the better matches of the night, but we will see. And in a one-on-one match for the quote-unquote real world championship, you can't see me, I'm doing finger quotes here, real world championship, the real world champion, the straight edge superstar, CM Punk, defends the title against the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, the Samoan submission machine, Samoa Joe. We're running it back. Joe and Punk had a huge, famous, multiple acclaimed, just hugely acclaimed feud back in the early 2000s before Punk went to the WWE and before Joe went to Impact Wrestling. Joe and Punk were Ring of Honor. They were the foundation of Ring of Honor at that time. These two men went damn near an hour every single time they stepped foot in the ring. They even went over an hour, at least once, in their first three bouts against one another. And here we're running it back. Samoa Joe and CM Punk, one-on-one. It's official for All in London this coming Sunday. And for the AEW World Championship, of course, I mentioned this earlier, it will be MJF, Maxwell Jacob Freeman. He's better than you, and you know it. Defends the AEW World Championship against Adam Cole, baby. Adam Cole, baby. Going to be competing in front of the biggest crowd he has ever competed in front of. Same with MJF. They will be the main event of the biggest show in AEW's history. I think that's fantastic. This match will be great. It has to be. For this to be a success, this match has to be great. Something epic has to happen at the end of this night. Do I see Adam Cole winning the championship and MJF losing? I do. In my opinion, what needs to happen is Adam Cole turns on MJF, not the other way around, because it's expected that MJF, he's a scumbag. He said it so himself. He is one of the most hated men in professional wrestling. Nobody likes MJF. But apparently Adam Cole does. Adam Cole is his one true, only friend. And that is the basis of their story, of this tag team, Better Than You, baby. It's going to come to a head. I feel like what has to happen is Adam Cole turns on MJF, does what he does what he has to do because he wants that world championship. And he turns on MJF by cheating to win the title. And we get a double turn. MJF then becomes the babyface, and Adam Cole becomes probably the biggest heel in AEW. I feel like that's what needs to happen. That's the booking that needs to happen. Will it happen? Who knows, because Tony Khan is sporadic with his booking of AEW at times, but I feel like this is the logical end to this Better Than You, baby story that has been quite entertaining. I will admit that, because I've been really harsh on AEW for quite some time now, but this story between MJF and Adam Cole has been very, very entertaining. It's very, very, dare I say, WWE-esque in its booking. And that's what's definitely gotten me intrigued. It keeps me looking. It keeps me watching the show because of this tag team, this relationship, this camaraderie that has grown between MJF and Adam Cole. So for them to then do something shocking like a double turn, it seems like that is where it has to go. That's the no-brainer booking of it all. I feel like this is the end result. This has to be the end result. And the only way to see that is live on pay-per-view, streaming on Bleacher Report, or on the Fight TV app. That's AEW All in London in Wembley Stadium. And that is the big card for this event. I'm looking forward to it. It should be a hell of a show. This is the biggest night in AEW's existence. This is probably the biggest night they've had since they first went on pay-per-view with AEW Double or Nothing all the way back in May of 2019. This is now the biggest show in their company's history. This literally could make or break the future success of this company. And we shall see this coming Sunday, August 27th, in London, England. With that, guys, we're going to take a quick little break here, and we'll get back with you with some more wrestling news and some more discussion. Of course, one of the big things I want to discuss today on the show, I want to give it its time and its due, is the 25-year celebration, of course, that I mentioned earlier, of Edge, and I'm going to discuss some of my favorite moments in Edge's WWE career. Stay tuned, guys.
What's going on, football fans? This is me, your boy Larry B, inviting you to join myself, Callum Reynolds, Mike Pat, and John Felipe for one of the most electrifying football shows you have ever heard. 3 and Out, right here at IE Sports Radio. Recap of the week before, a preview of what's to come, and of course, 3 hardcore head-to-head prime-time face-offs each week. You don't want to miss it.
What's good, everyone? It's Drewski, the host of Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports. On this station, we cover everything in the Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas area. From where we cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Stars, Dallas Mavericks, Dallas Wings, Texas Rangers, TCU, SMU, we cover it all right here every Wednesdays from 9 to 10 p.m. Central Time. Make sure you stay live with me on the Heart of Texas Sports on IE Sports Radio, your direct feed for all that is sports.
What's good, IE Sports Radio fans? Welcome back. If you're just now tuning in, it's the IE Elite Wrestling Show with your boy, the SoCal Saint, back at it again on this special Wednesday morning episode of the show. Thank you for tuning in. If you're listening on the download later on YouTube or one of our multiple platforms streaming our awesome shows of the IE Sports Radio Network, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker. Check it out, guys. If you're listening live, I do appreciate it. Thank you for this, I would say, this commute-style episode for your morning commute to your destination. Thank you for tuning in. We were just discussing AEW's big all-in pay-per-view that is taking place this coming Sunday, August 27th in London, England. It's definitely, I would say, a make-or-break moment for this company. So more power to the guys and girls of that company. I wish them nothing but the best and success on this night. I know I'm very critical about AEW wrestling as a whole, and that's not just certain aspects of the wrestling, because I do feel like some of their wrestlers do need some fine-tuning. The more younger wrestlers, not so much the veterans, so to speak. I know the veterans do have some terrible moments, but I mean, it comes with the territory. And my main concern is really with the booking and the handling of the business of the company with Tony Khan. That's my main gripe, is Tony Khan and this whole big controversy between CM Punk and the Elite that's not being handled at all the way it should be handled. But I've talked about that already. I did a lot about it. I did a lot of talking about it on last week's episode. So for now, we'll just disregard and move on. And I just want to say, with all due respect to the men and women in the ring, you guys deserve it. It's a big night for AEW. It's a big night for the wrestlers, and I hope they show out in London this coming Sunday. Another pay-per-view that's on the docket that's actually be coming to us live next weekend it's going to be coming to you live from the PBG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Saturday, September 2nd, will be Payback. That is right. That's WWE Payback. It's going to be the first Payback since 2020. We have not had a Payback pay-per-view event since 2020, and this will be the first time that a pay-per-view has been held in Pittsburgh since Extreme Rules of July 2018, and it will be live streaming on Peacock in the United States. If you're watching in Australia, it'll be live streaming on Binge, and if you're anywhere else internationally, it'll be on the WWE Network itself. And only 3 matches so far have been announced, 3 official matches. I am still in my head thinking of other matches that have been booked, that could be booked for the show. I do believe that we will see a unified WWE Tag Team undisputed WWE Tag Team Championship match between KO and Sammy, and possibly Damian Priest and Dominic Mysterio of Judgment Day. That's what I definitely think will happen. And I think we're getting Finn Balor and Cody Rhodes one-on-one at Payback, which would be a hell of a match. Cody Rhodes and Finn Balor, there's like it's unwritten history there between those two, even though they were never in the group together at the same time. Finn Balor, of course, it's been documented for many times over the years. Finn Balor, aka Prince Devitt, Fergal Devitt, his real name, was the catalyst and the creator of Bullet Club in New Japan Pro Wrestling. The American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, was once a member of Bullet Club in its time, but that was after Fergal, aka Finn Balor, was long gone into the WWE. So this will be their first time feuding and meeting one another in a one-on-one match, which would be fantastic to see. Balor and Cody Rhodes going one-on-one on pay-per-view. It hasn't been announced yet, but I definitely see that being announced possibly this coming weekend or this coming Monday night on Raw. It'll be announced for certain. In a steel cage match, though, these are the 3 matches that have been officially announced. All members of the Raw roster. Cage match, steel cage match, one-on-one, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. WWE Hall of Famer Trish Stratus goes one-on-one with the man herself, Becky Lynch, in a steel cage match. I'm just hoping that this is the end of this feud between Lynch and Stratus. It definitely has not been what I assumed it would be since the turn of Trish after losing the WWE Women's Tag Team titles. The turn happened, and seemed like it was going to be a great program between the two. But man, these two have just had really terrible promos with each other. The crowd just seems dead every time they come on screen together. There just seems to be no interest whatsoever in this Becky Lynch-Trish Stratus feud, and I hope that this is the blow-off. This is the end of it from here on out. I hope this is the final time we see Lynch and Stratus against each other. Hopefully a great match can save this program and just put an end to it at the same time. And for the Women's World Championship, it has been made official. Rhea Ripley will defend the Women's World Championship. Mommy herself defends the championship against another mommy. Big Mommy Cool, Raquel Rodriguez, gets her shot at the Women's World Championship live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. This should be a great match. You got the strength and just pure attitude of Rhea Ripley taking on the strength of the monster strength and agility and youth of Raquel Rodriguez. It should be a very awesome match to see. Raquel Rodriguez, a former NXT Women's Champion, a former NXT Women's Tag Team Champion, former multiple-time WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, and Rhea Ripley, she's got her accolades as well. She has done it all. She's a former SmackDown Women's Champion, a former Raw Women's Champion, the current Women's World Champion, a former WWE Women's Tag Team Champion, a former NXT UK and NXT Women's Champion. Rhea Ripley has got a huge list of accolades in front of her, and she is in the push of her career as a member of the Judgment Day, and I'm sure her beau, so to speak, Dominic Mysterio, will most likely be in her corner for this match. This should be a hell of a match between two great young women's talents in Raquel and Ripley. And in one of the main events that has been announced for the show, it'll be the World Heavyweight Championship. Seth freaking Rollins defends the World Heavyweight Championship against the King of Strong Style, Shinsuke Nakamura. Shinsuke Nakamura, after hitting the Kinshasa on Seth Rollins a couple of weeks back at the end of Monday Night Raw, has made his intentions very, very clear. He wants the world title. He needs the world title. He's going to win the world title. This past Monday night on Raw, they showed an awesome pre-taped promo from Shinsuke, which was great. I loved it. Shinsuke speaking in his native tongue of Japanese, and they had the subtitles of everything that he was saying. I loved it. It was very sinister, very methodical. It was great for Shinsuke. I feel like it put him on another level. This is something that they should have been doing with Shinsuke from the beginning, and you can see the difference in the booking because Triple H has got the book, not Vince. So with Triple H at the helm, Shinsuke definitely has looked his strongest in recent years. Definitely his strongest booking on the main roster for sure. This is definitely Shinsuke's strongest booking since winning the Royal Rumble back in 2018. Or was that 2017? No, 2018. 2018? Yeah. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm really looking forward to this, especially with Shinsuke mentioning the back injury to Seth Rollins. And Seth actually mentioned that on a recent episode of Logan Paul's Impulsive podcast. If you haven't listened to it, it's actually pretty good, especially the episodes with the wrestlers. Like, Paul is very interested in learning about their history and what it took them to get to the WWE, and just they're all around. Like, you can see the genuine interest in his voice when he's asking questions, especially with his co-host there. I'm still not really sure what his co-host name is. That's my fault. I don't listen to it religiously, but I listen to the episodes when they have wrestlers on there. So that's definitely something to check out. If you want to listen to Logan Paul's last episode with Seth Rollins, that was a very good episode. But Rollins mentioned on that episode that he's been dealing with a back injury for the last 2 to 3 years. Shinsuke even mentioned it in the promo, and Seth Rollins commented in a promo himself on Monday Night Raw and confirmed that yes, he's dealing with a terrible back injury. That he said it would require surgery, but Rollins is in the run of his life right now. He's definitely in the peak of his career, and I don't see him slowing down whatsoever. Do I see Shinsuke Nakamura becoming the World Heavyweight Champion this night? I don't know. I say there's a strong possibility. Nakamura has had a great push recently, and Rollins has been on a great run as champion since winning the title, but it would be nice to see Nakamura get his due and get at least one world title under his belt, under the WWE banner, being a multiple former-time IWGP heavyweight champion himself. It would definitely take him over the stratosphere. Nakamura, a former NXT champion 2 times, a former Intercontinental champion 2 times as well. So Nakamura can do it. He's successful, a former Royal Rumble winner. This could be a great matchup, and I believe this is the first time that Rollins and Nakamura have ever had a match together. I've never seen Rollins and Nakamura compete against one another, and this definitely could be I hate to say it, banger of a match for certain. I'm really looking forward to it, and that's coming to you live next Saturday, September 2nd, live on Peacock, on Binge in Australia, and the WWE Network everywhere else internationally. September 2nd, Saturday, September 2nd. It is Payback at the PPG Paints Arena in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Well, I just want to talk about a little bit here. I got about 9 minutes left here before I leave you guys, so I just want to discuss some of my favorite moments of Edge's WWE career. Yes, I know I spoke about this earlier, that there is a rumor going around that a lot of people think that Edge could potentially jump ship to All Elite Wrestling when his contract is up at the end of September. If that's a possibility, I mean, more power to him if that's what he feels like he wants to do. I personally think Edge should finish his career in the WWE. I really don't think that AEW would handle him correctly. You know, I know his best friend is there, Christian. He's really good friends with FTR, who helped get him back into ring shape whenever he found out that he was good to go and clear to compete once again. I know Matt and Jeff Hardy, there's a weird history there between them, of course, but apparently they're on good terms now, and you know, and there's a lot of crazy matchups that could happen. You know, Edge could get a one-on-one match with Kenny Omega. We could see Edge and Punk, Edge and Jericho again. We could see Edge and Christian tag teaming again. Who knows? There's great possibilities. Yes. Do I feel like Tony Khan's booking style would benefit Edge? No, I don't think so. But we shall see. But from my opinion, Edge's 25 years in the WWE have been fantastic. There's been so many great memories for me personally watching Edge from when he debuted. I was a young child watching the Attitude Era, 1998. I remember this cat debuting on WWE Monday Night Raw. Edge, I remember seeing the promos. He just wouldn't talk. And I really liked Edge, like, out the gate. I was like, I like this character. He didn't really have a character, so to speak. I mean, he was just really it was almost like he was a mute, you know, like he wouldn't talk. He was a loner. He would just hang out in the bar, in the boiler room or up in the stands. Like, you know, he was just like a loner. You know, it was a very mysterious type of character. It didn't really take off until he got with Christian and Gangrel, and they created the Brood. That was awesome. They had the best entrance music, probably one of the best entrance musics in history of the WWE. Or in wrestling today, one of the best wrestling themes ever. And then you got to see Edge and Christian take off as a tag team. They had that legendary ladder match at No Mercy against the Hardy Boys that definitely put all four of them on the map. It put the world on notice that these guys were the future of professional wrestling, which led to their big triangle ladder match at WrestleMania 2000, where they became the WWF at the time tag team champions for the very first time in their careers, which led to the very first TLC match that's August at SummerSlam 2000, which is one of the best matches in wrestling history, if not the best of SummerSlam's history, the TLC match. And which led to the best out of all the TLC matches we have ever seen, tag team wise. This is definitely the best TLC match of all time. Of course, WrestleMania 17 live in the Astrodome in Houston. WrestleMania 17, arguably the best WrestleMania in history. With TLC 2, the Dudley Boys, the Hardy Boys, Edge and Christian winning the WWE tag team titles that night. It was a lot of people look at that as the turning point of wrestling. That was the end of the Attitude Era that night. But I believe that was the start of Edge becoming something more than just a tag team wrestler. And he would later on go on to win the King of the Ring that same year. He'd become Intercontinental Champion that same year. He would unify the WCW United States title with the WWE Intercontinental title later that year. And then Edge would end up hitting a brick wall in the coming years where he had a neck injury that needed to be addressed by surgery. But when he came back stronger than ever. He came back with this... the fans started to turn on Edge, so to speak, because he had this mentality like he should have been a world champion already, like it should have been given to him, and this is what led to the creation of the Rated R Superstar, the whole fiasco with Matt Hardy and Lita that was real life turned into television between the three of them, and Edge winning the first ever Money in the Bank ladder match at WrestleMania 21 in LA to becoming the WWE champion on January 2006 when he defeated John Cena at New Year's Revolution. And just Edge became something more after that. Like, his feud with Cena is definitely one of the best of the Ruthless Aggression era for certain. You know, there's a lot of guys in professional wrestling that when they match up, they just bring the best out in each other, and Cena and Edge did that with each other. John Cena and Edge brought out the best of each other, and they always had great matches with one another. They had a great feud, Cena and Edge. They were always fantastic, what wrestlers like to call dance partners with each other. You had Austin and Bret Hart. You had Austin and Rock. You had Rock and Triple H. You had Triple H and Mick Foley. You had Lesnar and Angle. You had Eddie and Angle. You had Eddie and Benoit. You know, you have a lot of great Eddie and Rey Mysterio. A lot of legendary wrestlers have their great dancing partners, and Edge and John Cena are definitely two guys who could bring out the best in each other. Edge went on to win the Money in the Bank ladder match multiple times, winning the briefcase more than once and cashing in more than once. The ultimate opportunist, the rated R superstar, whatever you want to call him. Edge was a fantastic wrestler. He was a legend in this business, most likely, or most definitely. Not most likely, most definitely a legend in professional wrestling. He had a fantastic main event. He got to main event around how many people can say they've main evented a WrestleMania? Not only that, but can say they main evented a WrestleMania against the Phenom himself, The Undertaker. It was WrestleMania 24 in Orlando. That was the main event for the World Heavyweight Championship. Edge against The Undertaker. And they were even discussing that Edge beat Taker. They wanted to end the streak that night. Edge has said this multiple times, and Undertaker has made it known that this is true. That Edge spoke up and said, "No, like, I'm not doing that. It's not time for it to end." And Edge became another number on the awesome undefeated WrestleMania streak of The Undertaker. Undertaker was victorious that night, winning the World Heavyweight Championship from Edge, but you got to believe that Edge in his mind was successful because he got to main event a WrestleMania with a legend, WWE Hall of Famer, The Undertaker. And yes, Edge's career came to an end way too soon in 2011 when his doctors told him that his neck was terribly injured and he could not compete any longer due to the possibility of being paralyzed. And he ended his career at that time as World Heavyweight Champion. How many people can say that? And then Edge, by the grace of God and whatever else, and surgery and science, he was able to come back to wrestling, to the WWE in 2020 at the Royal Rumble, shockingly. And Edge has been fantastic ever since, having great matches with everybody he's been in the ring with. And if you're a fan of Edge and you subscribe to Disney Plus, you'll actually get to see him here very, very soon when Percy Jackson and the Olympians premieres next month on Disney Plus. He will actually be playing the role of Poseidon on that show. So Edge is actually dipping his foot into Hollywood once again, and if you miss him, that's the way you can see him. But for all of us here at IE Sports Radio and your boy, the SoCal Saint, I gotta say, thank you, Edge. Thank you for the memories. If this is in fact your last time in the WWE ring this past Friday night on SmackDown, I gotta say thank you, sir, for everything. You have been, dare I say, awesome. You have, no. Let me read it. Let me rephrase that. You and your career have reeked of awesomeness. All right, guys. With that, my hour's up. Please stay tuned for our awesome shows later on in the evening. Check out IE Sports Radio for all the upcoming shows later on tonight on Twitter. You can follow us on IESportsRadio.com. Do not forget to check out PlanetJerky.net and get yourself some of that delicious-ass jerky. And please follow me at IE Elite Pod. That's at IE Elite Pod. I'm your boy, the SoCal Saint. Thanks again for tuning in to the special Wednesday edition of the IE Elite Wrestling Show. I will see you guys next week. Peace.